Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 595 for March 26th, 2025. And hello, everybody. Hopefully you heard me, and give me a shout out in the chat if you heard that opening song. We changed some settings. Still playing around with the new stuff, and we're going to be watching the chat room if anybody has any audio issues. I am the producer and host of Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Thanks for clicking on us. And no song. Okay, good. I know how to fix that. I know how to fix this stuff now. But you hear me, so that's good. That means we can go on and say hi to our guests and our hosts. So here we go. Hello, host. How are you doing this evening?
Hi.
Wonderfully.
Wonderful. Hopefully you all heard Gordo at the top of the pyramid here. How are you, Gordo?
All is well.
Very good. And Don, how are you, sir?
I'm good. We've got a huge solar update from Dr. T tonight about a huge coronal hole. It's bigger than my head. It's way bigger than my head. We'll tell you all about that later on tonight when we get through the amateur radio newsline piece.
Very good. And Amanda, how are you?
Good. I'm trying so hard to hold in all of my big head jokes.
Me too.
I'm doing fantastic, and we're warming up here in Colorado for this week, and I am so happy for it. I'll take it, even though I got some allergies. Anyhow, we got a great show for you tonight. We have Neil Rapp, who is Dayton Ham of the Year, and a really good friend here of the hosts. And we have a Hamnet or Can It, and maybe a couple of tips or tricks on the Icom. So that's what I got. I will go ahead and I'll be watching chat as much as possible and taking your questions and comments and all the like. So Gordo, we'll send it back to you with your short shots.
All right. Well, last couple of weeks, we talked about the commercial radio license. And again, the book comes from Amazon or your favorite ham radio dealer. And it's the only one called General Radio Operator's License. And a lot of what we covered 2 weeks ago is in there. Well, now we're going to go to a new book, which really isn't new, but it's now published by the American Radio Relay League. And we're going to talk about what the ARRL is doing for you as a ham instructors. And listen, all of us have an important part because, as you know, the FCC received, or actually sent out to all of us, and we received their notice of needing help in justifying their existence. That's right. They became also under the DOGE, and they're going to be looking for ways to cut back or hopefully never, but looking at those trying to buy frequencies. And we as hams really need to stay alert that we don't have a big corporation that says, you know, I think we need a little bit of their 10 gigahertz band. Well, hope not, but be sure and watch that notice of inquiry that they're making for hams to help justify the FCC's action. Well, you know that the American Radio Relay League has many legal types in Washington, and they're really going to be fighting for us. But let's take a look and see what the ARRL is doing for us as ham radio operators, especially those of us that are teaching ham radio classes. We encourage all of you, if you're teaching a ham radio class, to open up your classroom, wherever it's outside or inside, with a lot of stuff. Hams love stuff, and that includes all of the gizmos you see on the side there, and that is individual parts, transceivers, you name it. And whether you've got a setup in a room with round tables or square tables, get that stuff out there so people can see that this is going to be an exciting class, not just a home study via words on a screen. We know that many hams may teach that way, but add a little excitement because we've got exciting things to happen. Because there's nothing worse than someone getting all the way to extra class and they've never really been exposed to the real thing. You say, I need the PL259 that's on the coax. And they'd look at those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go, is they don't know what a PL259 looks like, or an N connector, or the difference between an F connector and a connector for your television, or a BNC, or an SMA, or a reverse SMA. So we need to bring these into the classroom and let students get a close look. We like to start off classes talking about frequencies, megahertz and meters. Meters is wavelength, and we can do that with a slinky. Megahertz is the number of cycles, and we can do that with a plain old slinky. So add a slinky, you instructors, for your classroom demonstrations. And we're going to tell you where you can get a lot of this stuff. This comes from the government printing office, and this is the large ham radio frequencies chart. And they start with the very lowest frequency at the top, all the way to microwaves at the bottom. What are they thinking? Microwaves are at the top. So what we do is we say we got to do a little work on this, where as we go from top to bottom, we go from the highest frequency to the lowest frequency. Well, one way to do it is, and there's Susie in 6GLF cutting up the frequency chart. And once we have it cut up with packing tape, we get it all together. Now we have it in strips. And once you have this chart in strips from the government printing office, we get students to hold it up. And all the way to the left is the low frequency, and all the way to the right is the microwave bands. And we also put ribbons in those ham radio areas, put the chart on the wall, and that allows students to come up there and take a real close look and see where our different ham bands are in reference to all of the other radio frequencies. And you see right here, everybody's got a tight spot on the dial. And when you look at something like this, just remember there's a lot of commercial interests that would love to have some of these ham band frequencies. Well, maybe we'll give them 160 meters. Well, maybe we won't, but we want to make sure and hold on to these frequencies. So nothing beats a good chart. And inside the Gordo books, we have the frequency bands all the way out down to what our privileges are. And privileges you'll see there in the different colors. We encourage all of you to take advantage of getting kids excited. It takes a lot these days to get kids really tuned into ham radio. One way is the International Space Station, or tuning in many of the other satellites. That's Clint Bradford. And for those that know Clint, he needs a QSL card or an email today, just saying best success on what's ahead. And what's ahead is he and his wife are having a hospital visit, and we're really hoping for the best for Clint's wife, Karen. So, Clint, you're in our thoughts for the surgery she'll have in another couple of days. We present ham radio at the Ham Radio Store, HRO, that you saw there. We present ham radio to large groups of kids in schools with the school program of linking ham radio into the International Space Station. And wow, is that a turn on where they actually get to talk to astronauts in space. Now there's a picture of Don. No, maybe not. Maybe that was a young, I'm not sure, Don. Oh, he's in the background. There he is. You can see him by the palm tree. And those are the good old days of the old AM radios. But you know, when kids make their first contact as third party, they always will remember that. So anytime you have the capability of doing teaching of ham radio, don't just give them board talk or whiteboard talk. Take them out there and put them on the mic for a minute or two, and then talk about the difference between frequency modulation and some of the other digital modes. What we do when I'm working with a Coast Guard and Coast Guard Auxiliary is we have the wagon with a whole bunch of marine radios. And while we don't have them talk over the actual airwaves, marine radios all have a very loud PA system. So we put it in the PA mode. They think with all the antennas that they're on the air, and we give them a script to read in case they should ever be the one to call for help in an emergency. And we do this over a PA so they hear their own voice coming back. A great way to get kids involved, and they get turned on when they hear their own voice coming back. kits at all the major ham fests. The American Radio Relay League Ham Fest really encourage those organizing a ham fest to get their instructors in the local area involved with getting the kids with a soldering iron and so on. Notice that they all have protective lenses on, and this lad is putting together what appears to be a code oscillator. And it's always good. Kids love the CW. They may not have any idea that the real words that they're spelling out, but we give them a list and we say, hey, kids, look at that, a good J38 straight key. And that goes to an oscillator. So they're looking, and we usually have them say, spell your name. And when they spell their name, we're going to be able to give them a nice certificate that says you spelled your name in Morse code. So the kids sometimes are a little afraid to approach one of those J38s. So we have some of the kids build out of a clothespin and a sonalert and a 9-volt battery, a little clothes key, cloth, you know what I mean, for hanging up stuff on the line, a clothespin, there we go, with a little rock there as the key point. And we tell them, go ahead and send your name and code. And they really get a kick out of this because it's totally portable. We have a chart there so they can look up the dits and daws and spell their name or spell the name of their favorite kid, kitty or cat or dog or whatever. And, oh, wait a minute. Look at this. What are they doing? Look at that finger position. Now, is that the way you send CQ or the name of your favorite pet? A close-up shows that they're doing it with their thumb. And I went in there and I said, no, 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 no. You don't do it with your thumb. And they go, Mr. West, you're 20 years behind time. We're on social media, and when we're on our special machines, we do everything with our thumbs. So we go ahead and let them go ahead and send any way they want to. And of course, we always reward anyone that does something spectacular with the simple certificates. And the American Radio Relay League for registered instructors have these certificates available to you in quantity for free to give out to your class members that do something special. And when class members get something special, and we're going to see a little bit more of Dr. Tamitha tonight, thanks to Dawn, they get their own special certificate from the American Radio Relay League. Other league materials that are available free to instructors, including the postage to get it to you, are the ARRL color maps as well as the band charts. These are free. Now, we have something else that is really regarded as pretty neat, and that is an instructor's guide. And the instructor's guide gives you all sorts of tips of different things that I have found that really get kids' attention. And one is the laser, but you really got to be cautious that the laser is operated by one of your hams in a very safe method, and that after he's through using it, he either goes in his pocket with the battery out or he takes the battery out. Never, ever, ever, even with just a simple pointer laser for lectures, leave it unattended. So watch that for lasers. And we always like special guests. Here's Ray with Icom America. He drove all the way from Texas to Arizona for the big get-together that we do at the Ham Fest in January, Quartz Fest, and he's always, almost always there, and that's his motorhome, and it's loaded with, of course, Icom America ham gear. And you know that if you're having a big ham fest, the American Radio Relay League will send out their top brass. That's not top brass on the right. That's just me, old Gordo. That's Dick Norton. And Dick is one that really fights hard for ham radio operators and ham radio instructors. And he is always there, and he drives for 5-6 hours to get here for Quartz Fest every year. So, Dick, we appreciate all you're doing to help us get more instructors involved in ham radio. Okay, here it is. Now, here's where you go to begin to find the instructor's guide with about 40 pages of my best demos and a little after of some of those that could go wrong. And that is called the Instructor Guide. And all you have to do is go to arrl.org and my name with a hyphen, Gordon-West, ARRL.org/Gordon-West. And you'll see it online in the Learning Center. And soon it'll be available online right there when you bring it up. And it also has online right now today a CD that has been decoded, and the CD is wonderful, absolutely free for tech, general, or extra. About 55 minutes of audio sounds that I narrate on what an aurora sounds like. And hey, you folks on the East Coast tonight with that huge gapping hole in the sun, make that a gaping hole in the sun. Let us know what the auroras look like. So East Coast alert, auroras maybe tonight. So we give those sounds, and it's really fun to play that for your students. And we also give you suggestions on how to lay out the classroom, where to get some of the demo gear that we talk about, how to present it. And here I am in who knows where, but the whole table is full of stuff because ham radio operators really like stuff. And this is a look in Dawn, and I think, yeah, there's Amanda's stuff. She's got it down there at the very beginning, and this is opening up their drawer. And look at Neil. Neil, we may even have some stuff when you and I and Carol Perry met years ago. So we've got stuff. And by the way, on the Ham Radio Gordo page, you can also get all the way down to where the ham radio crash course with Josh is giving a good greeting to ham radio operators. So everybody's got stuff that they're offering to new hams. And as you can see here, here are new hams, soon to be hams, just looking at the stuff. And nothing beats working those folks when they're looking at something, saying what it does and where it is in a ham radio set. And we also give you ideas on demonstrations that you can use. And that is also on the ARRL.org /Gordon-West site. And that's in the Learning Center inside my instructor's guide. And you'll see we give you all sorts of tips on some great demos that students will always remember. And although it's no longer Boy Scouts of America, it's Scouting America. We also have showing technician class versus the radio merit badge, and how you can actually teach two at the same time with great success to not only get the scouting merit badge, radio merit badge, but also to get those scouts interested in playing radio. So while you cannot download a physical copy of the CD, you can download everything that's on it. And again, that's at ARRL.org /Gordon-West. And just drop on down there. You'll see the blue areas. We also have home study to get those students before they take a class actually reading over the book. So here's a shot. Let's see. Amanda, is that Jeff's setup? Yeah. What do you think? Okay. Well, anyway, you know you're a real ham when you have absolutely no place to sit down a cup of coffee. So I encourage all of you to think about the American Radio Relay League that does so much for ham radio. And believe me, right now, they've got folks in Washington working with the FCC, working hard that we're not going to lose any frequencies to those folks saying, hey, we can offer you several $1,000,000 for just a couple of megahertz on this unused ham band at, yeah, you know what's coming. Use it or lose it. So I hope everybody will, as I have done, work closely with the American Radio Relay League. They recently made me the National Instructor Trainer. So I'm here to train you. And again, the instructor's guide is available. And again, you'll need to go to the Learning Center. So once you get registered as an instructor, absolutely free, go to the Learning Center and you'll see the instructor's guide. And in here, I've got pages and pages of my very best demonstrations. So this is Gordo, WB6NOA, and Amanda, let me turn it over to you in case you have any cues.
I have comments.
Me.
Thank you, Gordo. I'm just going to comment on the FCC saying, are there things that we should amend, stuff like that. The ARRL put out a statement, but they also made a statement to all of us section managers during our section manager meeting, which was much more like unofficial. But basically they said, this is not the first time they've done this. It's just being made a bit more of a big deal because of the administration in place right now and all of the cuts they've been making. They said this most likely they do not believe will interfere with amateur radio whatsoever. But of course, they wanted to put out a statement. But again, they said this happens a lot and we just don't see it, or we don't pay attention to it, or it's not blasted all over media as much as it has been right now. So anyhow, that's my 2 thoughts. Check out Josh's video. He put out a short on it a couple weeks ago, right, Josh?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a good video too. Yeah.
I have not had a chance to catch up on it.
I tried not to be too political. I just talked about what it is. That's it.
No, it was good.
Perfect.
Very good.
I do have something for Gordo if you don't have a question. Yeah, Gordo, want to say a big thank you for your material. I am signing up to be the Ham Radio Merit Badge counselor for my son's troop.
Terrific.
So I'm going to use that material. Absolutely. That's a huge asset to me. So thank you.
Very good. And if you need a copy of it, it's a little difficult until things get ironed out where that instructor's guide is going to be posted let's get that straight, posted on the ARRL site. But right now, I'll get you a copy as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind.
Gordon, when Tyler was getting serious about getting his ham radio license a number of years ago, and I can't believe it's been, 7 years now, I think, since that he's been licensed, pretty close to it, maybe not quite that long, but we used your materials and the instructor guide at Dad's big ham radio class at the kitchen table, and he passed first shot. So so N7 TMW is a walking, talking, although not really ham radio active ham because of your stuff. So thank you again for that and all the support that you've given him. Also, since you've known him since he was born. So yeah, you've known him since he was born. You met him when he was still laying in the crib. He was like 6 months old, I think, when you met him. So you've supported him and what he wants to do for 25 years. And so just from me to you, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
That's so sweet.
Well, that is great. Well, I'm sure glad to hear that. And the league, I'm sure, was rather dubious about Gordo. I don't know about bringing him on board as an official anything, but they did, and it's just worked out wonderful thanks to Steve Goodgame, who is the educational director at the league. He runs a tight ship, so I'm always on it, and I appreciate all your support, all of you.
Goodgame's a good guy, and so are you. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Josh, if you don't mind, I have to break and take care of these dogs that are driving me nuts. So if you don't mind going to the Icom commercial, I got to put them away.
Will do. Absolutely.
Combining cutting-edge technology, unmatched reliability, and user-friendly design, Icom's amateur radios are the gold standard for ham radio enthusiasts. Whether you're chasing DX, experimenting with digital modes, or leading a local net, Icom radios deliver crystal clear performance and seamless connectivity. With a legacy of innovation and commitment to quality, Icom continues to set the benchmark for amateur radio excellence, making them the trusted choice for operators worldwide. Introducing Icom's IC7760, the pinnacle of base station excellence for amateur radio enthusiasts. Designed to deliver unmatched performance, the IC7760 features state-of-the-art technology, exceptional RF clarity, and an intuitive interface, all housed in a sleek and durable design. The base station features a separate remote control head and RF deck, providing excellent flexibility for installation. Place the RF deck closer to the antenna feed point, freeing up space on your desk. You can also connect the control head to the RF deck through your home network, enabling remote operation from anywhere in your home without need for a PC. Pair the IC7760 with a powerful ICPW2 linear amplifier and take your contesting experience to the next level. The ICPW2 seamlessly integrates with the IC7760, delivering a massive power boost and enabling enhanced long-distance communications with DPD, digital predistortion, and a built-in 2x6 automatic antenna selector for SO2R single operator 2 radios. Together, they define what's possible in amateur radio, setting a new standard for global connectivity and reliability. For more information about all of Icom's great amateur radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur.
And a huge thank you to Icom for supporting us here at Ham Nation. I got a comment just a second ago from Brett Glass. He was like, hey, where's that 7610? When's it going to ship? Well, I got to play with one, I think it was a couple weekends ago at the Ham Radio Outlet here in Anaheim. They're available now. You should be able to get them. I think you should be able to get them anywhere. It is a fantastic receiver, and I heard Jim Heath do a QSO with a local guy. He ended up contacting me. We talked for a while after. It's a fantastic receiver. I highly recommend you check it out. Great radio. But every time we are live here at Ham Nation, we pick 3 winners to get a swag pack. Did I say 70? I said 7760, right? I think I did. Hope I did. I think that's, yeah. Anyway, so we pick 3 winners for swag pack giveaways. This includes things like t-shirts, notepads, pens, that kind of thing with Icom on it. But the cool thing about the swag packs, well, aside from just the swag pack itself, is that your name goes on a list. And at the end of the month, they pick a winner from that list to give them a radio. What is going to be the giveaway for next month? Let's see. We've already given away March. So what do we have for April? Ooh, a 2730. One of my favorite VHF UHF radios. Full duplex, so you can do the FM satellites with that. So who are the winners? Well, let's go up to the top here. And we go to view winners. By the way, link is in the video description so you can see who the winners are, and yourself included. And make sure you hit that enter now button. But the winners this week are Stuart H. W9SPX, Matt H. WD5, MAT, that makes sense, James S. KQ4TSR. You're all getting a swag pack. So congratulations. And tune in either 2 weeks from now or 2 weeks after that, and we'll be giving away another radio. But we'll make sure to mention all the winners for the swag packs. I see Amanda is back, so I'm going to go back to her for a fun little introduction and some news we've got, I heard, which is an important piece of news from my point of view.
Absolutely. We have, and the dogs are fine. They're behind a baby gate. Okay, let's introduce Neil. We have Neil joining us. Dayton Hamvention Ham of the Year, WB9VPG. How you doing, Neil? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Just hopping from one place to another, trying to keep up with everything.
I know. I think you're kind of on a press tour right now.
A little bit of one, yeah.
Suck in those 15 minutes, brother.
Right.
Well, you're going to talk about yourself, but first you also brought to us a nice press release from the VOA there in Ohio, and they wanted to tell our viewers and everybody else a few words about their operations and what's going on. Did you want to take it?
Sure. Yeah. Jack Dominic, the executive director, dropped me a message saying, let everybody know far and wide, because my phone's ringing off the wall. The current administration has, talked about cutting some services, including the Voice of America. And they just wanted everybody to know that the Voice of America Museum is not federally funded. So there's no risk of losing the Voice of America Museum to all the federal stuff. It's a standalone 501c3, not connected with the Voice of America. They don't receive federal funding, never have, and I don't know if they ever will, but it's all supporter driven. So thanks to everybody that comes and donates, and they're going to keep telling the story. So there's no worries about the VOA Museum going away.
That's fantastic. And I think we're all happy to hear that. Not only that, but it just lets you know, everybody, every time you visit that, they're all volunteers, and a lot of them are hams that work tirelessly to entertain everybody else and to keep the museum up and running. So when everyone is in Dayton, be sure to take a trip up there. Is it up there? Down there.
Yep. Well, down there from Dayton. Yeah.
Okay. Down there to visit them and say thanks, and put $5 in their jar when you're there.
Yes, please do. And you see the picture there, Josh put up of the renovated shack, and now the rest of the museum has been renovated. They put in a whole new heating and air conditioning system. They reworked a ton of the displays. And so they've been closed for several months, and they're open again. And there are some special Hamvention tours as usual. So I think, Amanda, you've got the press release there, but I believe it's noon to 9 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, I can read it for you. It's noon. So they have extended hours for Hamvention because obviously the show goes until the afternoon and evening. So they go from 12 noon to 9 p.m. on Friday and let's see, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then on Sunday, they are open from noon to 5 p.m. So admission is $10 at the door. And you can check out the whole thing. It's a fantastic tour if you haven't done it. Neil, do you know if they're going to do the swap meet this year there?
I don't. That information just came to me today, so I have not heard anything about the swap meet. I know they tried that, and they had an estate sale one time as well.
Yep.
I haven't heard anything of that yet.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that's $10.
WC8VOA.org, and it'll have all that information.
That $10 is cheap at twice the price.
That's right.
It really is. So good. Such a great place.
I've just seen the online pictures, and I did their QSL cards. Amazing. Okay, well.
They are amazing. They are amazing. QSL
I mean, I'm just saying. Well, Neil, you were nominated, and obviously more than by one person to become Ham of the Year. So we're going to show some pictures, and you're going to talk about how you actually became Ham of the Year. And it took a long time coming, huh?
Yeah. I was just adding up the numbers, and it's been 49 years. The next year is 50. So.
Wow,
so,
one of the youngest hams ever licensed.
Yeah.
Isn't that
So
correct?
there's the night I passed my novice 5 word per minute Morse code exam. That was the night. So I went to a class with my dad, and they had an age requirement, and so they were like, yeah, no, he can't, do this, and so he's like, well, he's just going to sit there and, he'll draw and stuff, he won't make any noise. And
little did they know.
Then everybody, little did they know, or I know, that I could copy code. So started copying code, and that's the night I passed my exam, 5 years old. So
Wow.
So impressive. That's
Hold
so
up,
impressive.
hold
Feel
up.
so inadequate now.
Yeah.
How did they
got
give you
the
like some of the
scrapbook out
words?
and pulled some of these. What?
Did they give you like some of the questions, like read them to you? Because some of those words are so.
No, so the code exam at that point was a minute of solid copy. So it was 25 characters in a row. So the first time I took it, I got 23.
Jeez.
So just missed it. This night, which was the second night, I got 104.
Oh, well,
Jeez.
Bit of an improvement.
Wow.
Good job.
You didn't have the right headphones on.
Yeah.
Jesus. I can't count to 104, much less copy 104
that's
characters in
crazy.
a row. Wow.
So, but for the written questions, they didn't have all the questions and answers back then. So you had to just learn the material. So Mom made flashcards of sample questions and answer cards, and I would match up the question and the answer card.
What year was this, Neil?
Brilliant.
And that's how I learned that, 1976.
Wow.
Were you speaking? You could speak?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you just matched them up because it was just an easy way to do
Dude, he
it.
was 5.
Yeah,
Well,
I was in kindergarten.
Well, he said he said he would line the cards up instead of just saying the answer. That's why I was curious why he was lining the cards up. But that's a fantastic way to learn too.
Yeah,
that's
just
the year that
the answer with the question.
Wow.
That's the year that I got distracted by girls and cars and broadcast radio and kind of dropped my ham radio study. And then 20 years later, I finally picked it back up. But wow,
Don,
you were 5, I was 16.
I was going to say, this is when you were 5, Don. Yes. No, I could.
No, I was 16. No, I was 16 at this point.
I think he was into girls
so,
at age 5, knowing Don.
I'm sure.
I probably was, yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to some of the other photos.
But that's not why you called.
5
these
years
so
old.
these are the instructors of the course. Both are unfortunately silent keys at this point, but Bill Sage, K9 IHU, was my code instructor, and Howard Hazelman, K9 SLV, who lived about 6 blocks down the street from me, was my theory instructor. These were the guys that taught the course, and so they're there with me not long after getting the license. So that's
That gentleman
photo.
in front looks like can you imagine? He's like, look at this kid. He copies better than I do. That's the face he's giving right there.
I just love the stool he's sitting on.
Yeah, I remember that stool. It spun around real nice. So yeah, that's the first setup there. That's when I had my novice ticket. So it was a WN9VPG then, and I had a national receiver and a Heathkit 101.
Wow.
And I was there on the straight key, and then moved up to a keyer and a keyboard and all that fun stuff later on. But yeah, so here's 1977. This is from the Hamvention program. Since we're talking about Hamventions, Ham of the Year, I thought I'd pull out some old Hamvention memories. So this was in the book. And luckily, Mom had saved the little article that was in the local newspaper because I didn't remember the numbers. But I gave out 1,000 flyers at Hamvention that told my story, and then signed about 250 QSL cards.
Wow.
Wow.
Sat there at the Kenwood booth and handed all those out. That was my first Hamvention, was 1977.
Wow.
Wow.
And some of the comments, I'm sure they recognized they were witnessing a prodigy in the making. Yes.
So I know Joe Eisenberg was there. He tells me all the time he was there. So I've dug up this letter. This was the letter inviting me to come to Hamvention.
Wow.
And meet everybody. So that was kind of cool. I was able to find that in the old scrapbook here.
Thank God parents save everything,
too.
right?
Oh, I know. My mom saved everything. Let me tell you.
Good. Mine too.
I have boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff, and I was digging through it and found a lot of it. I still haven't found all of it from moving, but yeah, she saved all that stuff. So
I find it interesting. They made you pay for the table. That's interesting.
No, actually they didn't.
Okay.
So I read that in the letters. Like, wait a minute, that's not how that went. Because Kenwood had me sign at their booth, so we used the Kenwood space. So yeah.
How much was the booth in 1977? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I wonder.
It says $5 or $10 for the table. So.
Wow, really?
For the table,
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah. And that was in the main arena. And here's a photo. I couldn't resist throwing this in. This is the Silver Arena entrance. If any of you remember Hera Arena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was the entrance there where you go into the forum area. It was completely renovated, so it was bricked in after this. But this is what it used to look like at Hera Arena when it was like nice.
When it was nice.
Wow.
Now doesn't quite look like that.
Oh man.
Well, no, after the tornado.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward to college. This is a field day where we got the college club started back up again. So I was the president of that, and met Gordo in person about this time. Because that was during the college years. We were able to get a house on campus, and we launched a big helium balloon with a wire, and that was our antenna. And we had 6 or 7 of us there running field day. So that was field day there. Let's see what else we have. Oh yeah, spent about 20 some years running repeaters, and this is Eric, my best friend in 9KDB, and we're here at the repeater site, as we were a lot fixing things. So he's here pointing to.
Were you using Master 2s?
So we were using Master Pros. I think at this point, I think we had a Yaesu, a solid state repeater at that point. But yeah, there's also a 220. There's a 220 repeater sitting there on top of the bricks that a guy homebrewed. But yeah,
Nice.
that was one of the later pictures of the repeater site. So
I didn't know that you were a repeater guy. So
I was
you
chairman of the repeater council for a while.
Oh, okay.
So did the repeater thing for a long time.
Right on.
We had a big network in Indiana and did a lot of linking and remote receivers and all that fun stuff way back when.
Cool.
This is the first group I had at Bloomington High School South. So when I moved from Evansville, I had a club there in Evansville at Evansville Harrison High School, and then moved to Bloomington. And this is the first group here. We were out on a fox hunt that day. So this is the crew that got everything started at K9 SOU. So we ended up at some park, was where they decided to hide. So that's us there at the park. And here's some more of the K9 SOU crews over the years. Here's another group of students.
And you basically like mentored this whole club.
So yeah, so I was the sponsor, and School Club Roundup was one of our big things. We spent a lot of time on School Club Roundup after school every day. We would put in our maximum number of hours, and we had this station set up in the penthouse of the school, which they all just thought it was cool because it's the mysterious fourth floor that no one ever goes to. So they loved that and be able to go out on the roof and see the antennas.
I bet.
So yeah, but that's a group, and here's one of the later groups, and this group decided to fundraise a stepper antenna and put it up. So they renovated some pieces of tower and built the stepper and put it up and turned it into a real nice contesting station. And did really well in School Club Roundup after that, let me tell you.
I can imagine.
That K9 SOU club, that produced a number of young hams of the year for Newsline, right?
Well, it did one and some nominees.
Right.
Yeah. One of them is right there in the middle. I think that's Padrig in there.
Padrig, yeah.
I believe in the blue shirt there in the middle, I think. So this is another fox hunt. Fox hunts were always really popular with the high school kids because it was an excuse to go driving. And so they loved to go do
Get
that.
out of the room.
And so, yeah, right as soon as school got out every year, that's what we did some transmitter hunts. And so that's another group there. This is one of the Bloomington, Indiana field days. We had the field day cat that year. If you've seen the field day cat picture, we had a cat holding the microphone. But this is one of my students from Bloomington South. And so I'm there. That's the YOTA station. So I'm there being the coach for the YOTA station, getting him.
Now, Neil, you keep mentioning your students, and for our viewers that don't know your background, I take it, have you been a teacher your whole life?
So yeah, pretty much. I was a high school chemistry teacher for 28 years and been a professor for the last 4. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Been doing that pretty much since college, and then 4 or 5 years ago, we finally got the YOTA camp thing started. So this is our first group. This is outside the Voice of America Museum that we were just talking about. This is our initial group of campers, and that's been my latest project, and it's the biggest one. It keeps me busy all year long. But that's the first group, and I think we've got a picture from every year. We did the second year also at the Voice of America Museum. Just a great place to, they've got all the antennas there, but also, all the history of radio and shortwave, and just a great facility, and so we're looking forward to coming back there again at some point down the road, and we're looking at some kids camps too. So we'll talk more about that once we get everything finalized. And then there was a push. This is not just a U.S. thing. So we went to Canada. So this is up in Ottawa, outside of the engineering building at Carleton University up in Ottawa. So that was our first Canadian YOTA camp. And then last summer we had one in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So that should be the next one there.
I have
believe.
16 pictures, and that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Okay.
Unless
no.
What? Oh,
No,
that's
there
weird.
you go.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, there we
go.
Yeah, they got updated.
So there's the most recent group in Halifax. And then this year, Amanda's going to join us in Denver.
Woo! I'm so excited.
And, Amanda's going to be signing up folks for the ARRL student membership.
Heck yeah, get those students their free memberships. Take advantage while they can.
And she said she would bring snacks. So, the less snacks I have to bring, the better, because we go through the snacks. So
I can only imagine how many snacks the kiddos could go through. And I say kiddos, young adults, snacks and soda.
Yeah, we make a couple of Costco runs every week. So yeah. So Denver is June 15th to 20th. And we've got all kinds of cool stuff planned for that.
We should probably drop the link for that. I'll find the link and drop it for people that are interested.
youthontheair.org and /camps for the camps. But yes, teenagers are a bottomless hole for snacks. Indeed. So yeah, we've got some soda planned. We've got an Eris contact planned. We've got some ballooning planned. All kinds of cool stuff, and a chance for these young people to get to know each other and learn from each other. So, okay, well, yeah, we're a little out of order, but that's where it actually started. So, Dad pulled out that little code oscillator, and it made noise, and I had to know what it was. That was my start into ham radio right there.
I can only imagine that it's so much easier to pick up CW at a young age like that. Just like learning a second language, the younger you start, the easier it is to pick up. So,
and for those of you wondering if the National Enquirer is credible, sometimes
it was then.
It was this time anyway.
Wow, I didn't know you made the Enquirer. That's amazing.
I did not either. Oh my gosh!
I think they tried to infer that you were also Bat Boy in this article. So
I was wondering if he was. Was he sending messages to the aliens?
Yeah, contacting the aliens
together in the same room. It could very well be.
Yeah, that's it.
Good job.
Neil. I
Neil.
see the resemblance.
Yeah. And here is the hometown, Vincennes, Indiana. This is National Parks on the Air. That's the George Rogers Clark Memorial.
Beautiful.
So just down the street from that in my old hometown of Vincennes. So went and did that. And then we've got a couple more pictures from Halifax, I believe. Or no, this one's from Ottawa. This is opening night in Ottawa. And that would be Halifax. So that would be Eris Day because I got the Eris shirt on. So.
Well, sorry about the order. I had this open
an hour
ago, so I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. But
and Neil, I think you have at least one significant special person to thank for helping you continue this wonderful hobby.
There's numerous people I have to thank for continuing on all of that. But yeah, we wouldn't have had camp last year without Julie. She and Colleen drove over 20 hours one day to get the rest of our gear across the border. Because it was being held up in customs, and she went to great lengths to make that happen. So got to thank Julie and Colleen and all the staff, Sterling and Sam and Andy, Tony, Jocelyn, Oren, Becca, Will. Yeah, I know I'm leaving out people. But I have the best crew that I could ask for YOTA camp. And I think that's why we made it so successful. Was I was able to surround these kids with some really, really great ham radio operators in their 20s and 30s, and a few of us a little beyond that. But so many people to thank for doing all that, and even Willie and Howard, put aside that age restriction on the code class for me to actually get a license even. So many people to thank for along the way, but YOTA's been the biggest project, and that's kind of the one they mentioned a lot on this award. So very, very grateful for it. Thanks so much to the Dayton Amateur Radio Association and Hamvention for sponsoring the award, and all the people that nominated me. And it's always great to be recognized, and it couldn't have come at a better time. There's always some struggles going on to make sure things work, and it was very well timed. But I will say we really need your support to keep YOTA going. We have some financial need still for this summer. And so if you can go to youthontheair.org and click on the donate button there, it'll tell you some ways you can donate. If you don't want to give money, we have an Amazon wish list, and there are supplies that we need to do camp. And so you can just order something on there, and it'll automatically ship to me, and I'll pack it in the box and ship it off to Denver. In fact, the first box of stuff arrived in Denver this week from DX Engineering. So
wow,
nice. Excellent.
The first box is already there. But we do need the supplies on the wish list. We do need a lot of financial support to finish off the funding for this summer. So if you can do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And thanks to all of our sponsors that are kicking
Great
in.
Job,
to make it
Neil.
work.
Great
Good
job,
my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Neil. We appreciate you being here. And once again, we consider you a great friend here on Ham Nation. So come back anytime you want. Let's talk about anything you want. And enjoy Dayton, live it up, and sign some more QSL cards,
Yeah. And I will say this, the kids camp, we're getting ready to announce it. It's going to be the last weekend of July, and that's going to be for under 15. So we will have that information up shortly. We're still working on a couple of last things to get the location and funding straightened out. But we've got it planned for the last weekend of July. It'll be a 3-day weekend with a parent. And so that information will be coming out soon, and I will probably send one of my PR people from YOTA back to you to announce that once it's all signed and sealed.
We'll do it. Well, thank you, Neil. We got to jump to AR Newsline here, but stick around if you want to till the end of the show. So,
Sure.
Donnie Boy, we'll send it over to you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Neil. Very much, very greatly deserved. And I also wanted to add that you shared time at your wedding for one of the Young Ham of the Year award presentations while we were all locked down in COVID and couldn't do Hamfest. So thanks to you and Julie for allowing us to do that. Before we get into Amateur Radio Newsline, we have some sad news. One of the Newsline family, Mike Askins, KE5CXP, lost his wife to pancreatic cancer in the last week and a half or so, on the 18th of March. So Mike and I go back to first grade. We met in first grade. We started broadcasting together at KGFF in Shawnee, Oklahoma, back in the late 70s, 79, I believe. And of course, we, spent our whole lives together playing around on CB radio and everything else. So Mike is part of our Newsline family. He has posted reports. He's had some horrible health issues in the last couple of years, which has kept him off the mic. But anyway, Mike lost his wife, Karen, who he met at the radio station when we were both working there. Very sad. They have 3 sons. So my request to you, our viewers, is if you would kindly look him up on QRZ, Kilo Echo 5, Charlie X-Ray Papa. And just if you would, send him a QSL card or note of condolence. That would make me happy, and I know it would brighten up him and his 3 sons as well. So thank you for that in advance. Now let's go ahead and get into the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline, report number 2473. This is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. Our top story takes us to Washington, D.C., where the U.S. Agency for Global Media has been earmarked for defunding. Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, and Radio Marti are among the international news services that the White House says it is preparing to dismantle.
Voice of America, a shortwave service launched in 1942 during the Second World War to bring news to countries under authoritarian control, is among U.S.-based news programming for overseas audiences targeted in a deep cut by the Trump administration. According to various media reports, VOA employees have been notified that they were all being placed on administrative leave with full benefits, effective immediately. Cuts to VOA, as well as Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, Radio Marti, and others, are the result of reductions taking place inside the U.S. Agency for Global Media, where these programs originate. These cuts are part of the ongoing downsizing of the U.S. government. The agency operates with congressional funding to deliver news in 64 languages to listeners around the world via 6 networks, some of which were created during the Cold War. VOA's first broadcast, made in 1942, was in German and was transmitted to German listeners to counter Nazi propaganda. The Agency for Global Media's mission statement reads, quote, "To inform, engage, and connect people around the world in support of freedom and democracy," end quote. On Friday, the 15th of March, Trump signed the executive order for the cuts, noting in the language of the order itself that the services earmarked for reduction had been deemed, quote, "unnecessary," end quote. This is Kent Peterson, KC0 DGY.
They're home. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams have returned from the ISS after an extended stay. Newsline anchor Stephen Kinford, N8WB, has details.
Tuesday night, March 18th, brought a safe splashdown at long last for Suni Williams, KD5 PLB, and Butch Wilmore, the 2 NASA astronauts, left stranded on the International Space Station for 9.5 months after their Boeing Starliner spacecraft malfunctioned. They splashed down inside the SpaceX Dragon Freedom capsule off the coast of Florida, along with NASA astronaut Nick Hague, KG5 TMV, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. The 17-hour flight home ended a saga that began with what was supposed to have been only a short test flight aboard the Boeing Starliner in June.
2 trips are planned this year for young radio operators who are accepted into the Dave Calter Memorial Youth DX Adventure.
The adventure promises to be twice as big for young amateurs participating in the Dave Calter Memorial Youth DX Adventure experience in June and July. There are 2 trips planned. The first trip takes a group of youngsters to one of the top contesting stations here in the U.S. The young hams will serve as a team operating special event station W3Y from June 13th to the 15th, hosted by the K3LR Multi Contest Station in Pennsylvania. In July, other young participants will be going to Curacao to another super contesting station to operate as PJ2Y. The program is being hosted for the 4th time by the Caribbean Contesting Consortium, PJ2T. This 4-day activation will take place from the 17th through the 22nd of July. Be on the lookout for applications for both of these trips. In the meantime, you can visit the team page to get more information. The website is youthdxa.org. These adventures reflect the spirit and support given the program by Dave Calter, KB8OCP, the Youth Adventures co-founder. Dave became a silent key in November of 2013. This is Cell MB KB3TZD.
A reminder, the nominating period for the 2025 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award is now open. Since 1986, we've been honoring the best young people in amateur radio for their efforts in expanding the state-of-the-art of the amateur radio service and using ham radio to make the world a better place. The nominations close on May 31st, and the presentation will take place Saturday, August 16th at the Huntsville Ham Fest in Huntsville, Alabama. You can find more information and the nomination form on our website, arnewsline.org, under the Awards tab. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Cell MB, KB3TZD, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We're in the middle of a solar storm fast wind combo with more to come. And we have a massive coronal hole that's so large it could fit 7 Jupiters side by side at its widest point. But no worries, this one's more bark than bite. Those stories and more in the news this week. Space weather this week is giving us kind of a combination blow between fast solar wind and solar storms. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, there are a lot of active regions in Earth view, but they're not taking center stage. If you've been paying attention over the last day or two, you know that we've been getting some decent aurora clear down to places like Kansas and Oklahoma, even Nevada in the United States. And it's because of some fast solar wind from, believe it or not, this teeny tiny coronal hole, along with something special. If you take a look at the east side of this coronal hole, you'll watch a dimming develop. Watch it right here. Whoosh, see that? That was a stealthy solar storm. In fact, as we take a look at it in coronagraphs, you don't see all that much because that's the whole thing about being stealthy. You see something right here, which is likely not it. But this right here, this was a filament kind of launching up this way. And I believe this stealthy solar storm kind of piggybacked along this. And as it extends out further here, you can see it kind of dropping down into, kind of the equatorial region. So this was likely part of this stealthy solar storm that was Earth directed. And hey, as it piggybacks on that fast solar wind, it sure can boost those levels. So we've been enjoying some really good storming since then. But the fun is not over. As we continue looking into the 20th and 21st, this region 4028 really started getting active. In fact, on the 21st, it fires a big M-class flare. It's actually not that big, but it had a huge radio burst in it. You can watch it pow right there. This had a big radio burst in it, high enough to kind of degrade some GPS signals. It was pretty impressive. But along with that, it also, you can see a dimming region. I'll back up just a smidge. See that dimming region right there? Yeah, that is yet another part of it. What looks like a stealthy solar storm. As we take a look in coronagraphs, it's not quite so stealthy. You can actually see this near full halo right here. And that means this thing is basically Earth directed. But because it's so wispy, it really doesn't have the strength to kind of push the slow solar wind ahead of it. So it got lost in traffic and slowed it down. So even though we were expecting to see a much bigger storm hitting a lot earlier, well, it's only just arrived now, and it's likely not going to boost us up to maybe G1, possibly G2 levels by the time all of this is through. So we're paying attention to that. We could get some decent aurora shows from that. And believe it or not, that's still not the only solar storm. We've got one more. You can see a little bit of something here, a little bit of something here, and a little bit of something right there as well. And as we take a look at this in coronagraphs, well, we get some kind of wispy structure again coming out, kind of out like this. You can actually even see a little bit in here. So once again, it looks like something that's partially Earth directed, and we could see more storming from this structure right around the 26th or so. So we've got stuff that's hitting now. We got stuff that's hitting on the 25th, and probably maybe some glancing blow in the 26th, right ahead of the fast solar wind that we're going to be seeing from this massive coronal hole. Now, for those who have been paying attention to people on social media saying this coronal hole is going to be a planet killer, please don't worry about it. Yeah, it's big. In fact, I measured it. You could fit 7 Jupiters side by side by side by side by side, all the way across the widest point of this coronal hole. And get used to these coronal holes. They're going to be with us for the next year and a half. But believe it or not, this is much more bark than bite, because this coronal hole has the wrong polarity to cause storming at Earth. So yeah, we might get some fast solar wind, but it's going to act more like a bumper car against Earth. Earth is really just going to be kind of buffeted by it. We're not going to see massive storming. In fact, we might only get to G1 levels from all of this fast solar wind. So, don't worry about it so much. It's really not that big a deal. And this little whatever that was, if that were eruptive, that actually is probably going to go southward of Earth. So don't expect too much from this coronal hole. It's probably not going to be overwhelming in terms of big solar storms or big aurora. Now, switching to our solar flare and dayside radio blackout outlook over the coming week. Well, we're sitting at 170 right now for solar flux. We're probably going to dip down just a little bit before building back up. And that's because we have this massive coronal hole that's kind of making the sun look a bit on the dark side. Well, NOAA's giving us about a 30% chance of M-class flares at an R1 to R2 level radio blackout. And that's going to be over the next 3 days. Expect minor noise on the radio, dayside radio bands this week. Likely going to pop back up to moderate noise levels starting around Thursday and into the weekend because of some new regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view. But expect the chances for R3 level radio blackouts to stay extremely low this week and probably into next week as well. So enjoy the DX as best as you can get it on the day side. In fact, as we get into that fast solar wind, you might notice your radio communication actually gets a little bit better. And that's one of the benefits of having the wrong polarity coronal hole. So that could be good news overall. And now switching to our radiation storm and polar aviation outlook over the coming week. Well, everything is in the green this week. We are sitting at the D1 normal range. This is at flight level 360 for you aviators. It's also the S0 quiet range for everyone else. NOAA's only giving us about a 5% chance of a radiation storm at an S1 to S2 level, and that's going to be extended easily through the rest of this week because we just don't have any big flare players on the Earth-facing disk that look like they have any potential for radiation storms. So you frequent flyers, and this does include air crew and you high-risk passengers, enjoy this week. We probably aren't going to see much of a change, and just start paying attention possibly next week as the bigger regions rotate into Earth view. So the space weather this week is keeping us on our toes. We're kind of getting those combination blows between solar storm and fast solar wind, and this is going to continue. Aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you're definitely going to get some decent shows over the entirety of this week. Aurora photographers at mid latitudes, well, shows may be a little bit more dim than you'd like them to be, but with the dark moon, you could see some decent shows, especially if you get lucky enough to catch those substorm onsets. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, it's not all doom and gloom for you this week. We do have the storming on the night side, and that does have a tendency to disrupt things a little bit. But you know, if you wait until that fast wind from that big coronal hole hits, well, because of the magnetic polarity of that fast solar wind, it actually may help improve radio communication for you. So let's keep our fingers crossed for you there. And now you GPS users, well, you know, the risk for scintillation isn't all that great this week. We have a lot of aurora happening, and especially on the night side, this could be a problem for you. So you want to stay anywhere away from the auroral zones as much as you can. But luckily, we don't have any big radio blackouts this week. So the day side should be, especially at mid and low latitude, should be a little bit better for you. But I would make sure that I stayed vigilant. And if you happen to be a drone flyer, be sure to calibrate your magnetometers often. I'm Tamara the Scove, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
And there she is, a huge update from Dr. T tonight. Thank you so much, Dr. Tamitha Scove, for everything that you do for us. We certainly appreciate it, and appreciate everybody in the Newsline crew as well. And again, if you could send Kilo Echo 5 Charlie X-Ray Papa, Mike Askins, a QSL card or note of condolence for the loss of his lovely wife, Karen, we would certainly appreciate that. And that's all I have. Back over now to Amanda. I believe it's time for Hamnet Canada or what Hamnet? And man, could I use some fun right now? Let's get to it.
I will do that. Neil, this your first time with us with Hamnet or Can It, and this is the fun time.
We'll be gentle, Neil. We'll be very gentle.
I find random pictures of ham radio posted stuff on social media, and we either rock it or we make fun of it, basically.
We make fun of everything, really.
We do.
We make fun of each other.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, I don't want to share a file. Hold on. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. With the new system streaming, this is easy. Easy when you're ready. I'll see it.
Share screen. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I don't want any of those screens. I have
Send it to us, Neil.
Okay, hold on. Hold
Oh,
on. Let me
Lord.
move this. Oh, I would love to see that. Hold on. Okay, so it doesn't like my third monitor, I believe.
Well, no one does, really.
No, then window. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Live
I'm gonna figure
television.
this out. Hi. This is my first
Oh,
time
there
doing
it
this.
is. I see
Oh,
it.
look,
I see it.
something happened.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at that.
My, wow, look at that.
What in the world? Like, if you weren't a ham and you were driving by, you wouldn't even know. And then somebody on one of the comments on this was like, maybe it's just an optical illusion that it's that huge. But
No, it's that huge.
I think it's that
BMW
big.
for reference.
It's
That is
that big.
crazy big.
That's
Yeah, I think I know a guy who's got a very similar antenna, N5 SKT, and he tunes that thing up on 160 meters.
Bro,
wow.
like and it's near the water. I don't know if this is giving RF to anybody, but it is hilarious. And
That's
I don't even know
massive.
how they traveled with that thing in that car, but whatever. Oh, here's
That's
my
wild.
AI of the week. Chat GPT is getting a little bit better, but not much. Still,
look, it's YOTA camp.
yeah,
That's
it is
it.
kind of YOTA camp. I did this in honor of Neil. I said, put some kids talking on ham radio.
This
and
can't
then
be
it-
real kids with ham radio because look how sad they are. Never has
know.
there been a
Exactly.
kid so
And-
sad.
and they
playing
wouldn't be
with ham
looking at
radio.
their phone. And the other thing is that where was I going with this? Oh, the first one they did was all boys. I'm like, put some girls in there. So
Yeah.
but, like that's what they
Well,
think of ham radio. Whatever.
Where's that cable going?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
AI is just
Well, they're-
challenged when it comes to this. I don't know who gets their cool pictures from where, but they must pay for AI images. This is all free. So
They're sad because there's a repeater cop on there telling them that they're keying up too fast, not letting anybody else in.
use your call sign.
You're tailgating, for crying out loud.
This is so funny. Like, I never thought about using my tiles for use as a measurement. And back to that meter thing, we will go to numerous links to not use meters, and this would be one.
Anything an American will do to not measure with metric. This is another example. Floor tiles, got
Yes.
it. Yep, absolutely.
12
There you go.
inches, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, that's true.
I always use a piece of paper because I know exactly it's 8.5 inches or it's 11 inches, depending on what, which direction. So or I use a business card for smaller things. I know exactly what it is. So,
I use cubits.
oh, interesting.
Exclusively
This
cubits.
is funny. Because this is what this guy uses to throw an antenna up in the tree. Everyone has
Wow.
their thing, right? So everyone else, what is your thing? What do you tie off to throw a wire up in there?
I'll tell you what I did.
Yep.
I took a golf ball. I put a golf ball in a vise, and I drilled a 1/4-inch hole all the way through it. And I put the fishing line down through it, and I have
Yeah.
that on a fishing pole, and that's what I use to arc
Oh.
lines up into the tree.
Neil, what do you use?
Wrench.
Ah,
Biggest
Yeah.
one I can find. Tie it on
Yep.
the end, throw the wrench.
And
The
is
golf
Gordo
ball doesn't
here?
get snagged very well, which works good for me.
Did Gordo take off?
Is he
did.
there?
Thank you.
Gordo, what do you use to throw an antenna in the tree?
I actually have a tennis ball with BBs on the inside. So
See,
if I
there
hit
you
a
go.
car,
That works too.
if
And-
I hit a car windshield, I'm still okay.
Oh, you're a
Ah.
decent person.
Not so
Um,
much with the golf ball, sadly, but yeah.
I have one.
Josh, what do you use?
So when I backpack is when I'm most often going to throw a line into a tree, and almost everything in my pack is as a stuff sack. And stuff sacks are little drawstring bags. Well, if you put a bunch of rocks in there and tie you can tie a loop, a sheet bend, or whatever around the bag, and you can use that as your throw weight. That's it. Just a little ditty bag with rocks in it.
because I use pine trees a lot, and that
Yeah,
would get
that's
stuck
gonna
in
get
a
snagged.
lot of things.
That's gonna get
I
snagged.
use a fishing pole and one of my dog's balls that has it's like hollow for putting treats in
Yeah.
it. I use that
Oh,
and
smart.
messes with
You know,
her
I've
big time.
I've told this
I
story
bet.
several times, but one year at field day, one of our guys got the idea to tie a line around a jar of pickles and throw that up into the tree, thinking, well, as soon as it goes over the branch, I can arrest the fall.
Right. Yeah.
Well, no,
No.
it made a perfect arc, and this was field day in a park. This made a perfect arc. Didn't even hit the tree. It went as soon as it was one of those. It was art. I mean, it was as soon as it left his hand, you knew exactly where it was going, and it made a perfect arc right to the middle of the jogging path. And pickle relish just exploded. It was like a 16-foot circle of
Were you
pickle
guys
relish.
drinking?
Jeez.
No, we hadn't got to that yet. We were still hanging antennas.
Oh my
I think that was
God.
the same year that somebody got up on top of an aluminum ladder, like a 6-foot aluminum ladder in the middle of a rainstorm,
Oh, jeez. Where we?
tie antennas off too. So yeah,
Clearly, this was before they had a safety supervisor.
No, there was
that was the safety officer.
That was yeah. We were living on the edge back then. Oh, I know you would have. We were in quite the pickle though. Couldn't quite cut the mustard on that one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here's
There's more. Yeah.
There we go. Did we lose Amanda?
nope, I'm here.
You're good.
Really?
Uh,
Oh wow.
yeah, a little
Oh.
shortwave receiver.
Yes,
That's cool.
I'm
want one of
starting to
those.
see these all over. People are picking them up, obviously, like really, really cheap, and they're not just for like FM and AM.
No,
but
they're for everything.
yeah,
They've got
everything.
alternate firmware that goes on that too to really
And I'm
improve
finding
it.
people like attach really funky antennas to it, and I wish I would have saved
Uh-huh.
some of the pictures because they're not. I don't know. They're not tagging like ham radio because it's not necessarily ham radio. It's more like shortwave.
I
But
want one.
they're doing these. I think they're like $10 or something. It's ridiculously cheap.
20 something like that. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
really cheap.
So anyhow, they're cool, and I kind of want to get one just to play with it and see what I can hear with what antenna connected to it.
And I hear the alternate firmware just really opens that thing up. It makes it a lot easier. to operate.
Really? I may have to get
Oh,
one.
I didn't know that. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about this connection here. If this is just like a BNC or what
It's
it is.
SMA.
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 Okay,
SMA with
okay.
USB-C, it looks like.
Okay. So anyhow, I want to get one now and play
Yeah.
with it. This is Jeff. This last weekend, he's working on a P25 repeater that was for it's the board came with R1, and if anyone's familiar with P25, there's R1 and R2. So R1 is
Yes.
the other frequencies for like, is it military or is it for commercial? I can't remember. I think it's commercial, and the
I think so.
UHF frequencies. And so he's redoing a board, and he's doing all of this. Like he's got it on a hot plate there, and he's undoing some of the soldering.
Mhm.
And I did a video of this, but it's like 4.5 minutes long, and it's me kind of like zooming in and watching him remove all of these small little
That's cool stuff.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
really difficult work. And but it saved us a lot of money because they're unicorns to find the right board to put them in the ham frequencies for P25. So good job, Jeff.
Oh, we
He's
got
not
Frank
Good job,
in the
doing
chat.
Jefferson.
Good
Frank
job.
says R1 is government stuff. R2
Government,
is ham
okay.
GMRS PD.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
The Forbidden Freaks.
Yes. So he's working really hard on that. Okay. You guys, I thought this
Oh.
was like
Houses on
a
the
joke.
air.
Houses
This is
on
what
the
this
air.
is.
I like it.
I got the link, Amanda.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
I was like, what in the hell is he talking about? Aren't we always house on the air? Like if we're at home, we're HOTA. I swear it's like a UK competition, but I think he's trying to get it more international. And so everyone can kind of see like you get different awards for how many HOTAs you work, but you cannot
That's funny.
like if you have a unique house. Like
yeah,
let's
there's
say you
different
have
types of houses.
Yes,
Here,
so-
here's your specialty points for houses.
this is so funny. I can't believe it's real, but I can at the same time. So I can't read what it says, but there's like if you live in a stone house and you're operating from a stone house, you're worth so much. and a farmhouse, and a Victorian house. I can't read it all, but a garden house. Like, what qualifies as a garden house?
Here's the house types that are allowed.
Yeah.
There's many different special house types. So I'll read them real fast. Schoolhouse, mill house, old house, white house, stone house, clock house, farmhouse, hall house, manor house, lighthouse, corner house, bridge house, royal house, garden house, gate house, ferry house, water house, valley house, lake house, river house, round house, and island house.
Huh? Is there a castle house on that list?
I think
didn't hear
royal
one.
qualifies as a
Could very well be.
castle.
Well, listen, there is a house. There's a house in New Orleans. It's a castle, and if you actually Google it, the Castle House in New Orleans, you'll come up with a picture of it. One of my friends who was a ham used to live there, and he had antennas all around. It's for sale right now. Actually, it's on I-10. As you travel between New Orleans and Slidell, you'll see it. It's an actual castle right there on the bayou.
I love it. Outhouse. Yes, they need an outhouse.
Yep.
Yeah, the rotator, right? Yeah.
So I don't
Roundhouse, I
know.
saw
I
that,
don't know
yeah.
anything else about this competition, but basically they have activations. You can activate a house, so you can be a hunter and you can be an activator, and
kinda cool.
check it out. It's kind of not like the best website in the world, but because it has a bunch of ads that pop up and stuff like that. But it's interesting, and it's an easy way to play around on ham radio, even though you're not doing much of anything. Activate your house if you have something cool and unique, and have fun with it. So anyhow, that's what we had for Hamnet, Canet, or what Hamnet this week.
Wonderful.
And
It's a good old bunch, yeah.
I say ham it all. Everything we showed.
Those are all
Hamnet.
Hammets. Yeah, those are all
Yeah,
Hammets. I love it. I
definitely,
love it.
totally. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. Thank you to Neil. We appreciate you very much. And let's see, we got some nets going on that are eagerly awaiting us to all join. Don't forget D-Star on 14 Charlie and 7192, where we've got Kev waiting to hear your voices, as long as conditions are cooperating, and according to Tamitha, they should be. So
there you go.
That's all I got. Anybody else have anything before we wrap it up?
I got nothing, but looks like we got Neil
Gordo's
and
got a
Gordo
cat.
have the felines out. Have the cat
Cats
house on
the air. Yes.
Yeah.
We need a Bucky's on the air. I actually think that a Bucky's on the air would be good.
Listen, Neil's probably already done it.
June 18th.
Okay, June 18th. Bucky's
that's-
on the air. Is
that's,
that? Oh, I think I heard about this from a
You weren't
sterling
supposed to hear
person.
about- Yes.
Oh,
you were
That's
well,
it.
you know.
It's the
It's
secret.
coming.
Good. Well,
I was being quiet, but you let the cat out of the bag, if you will, Neil.
the Bucky's on the
Very
Mississippi
funny.
Gulf Coast should be open by then. So, and that's Dawn's birthday. So I may have to take her to Bucky's for her birthday. It'll be right down the street from us, which will be great.
I think that would be awesome. Totally cool. Everyone will eat that up. Okay. If
I'll
no
eat
one
up
else has
that,
anything else,
I'll eat up that brisket sandwich. That's what I'll eat up. I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's it, everybody. Thank you so
That's
much
good.
for watching. We have a lot of fun doing this. We're glad you hung out
Yes,
with
we
us
do.
for another episode of Ham Nation. Until we
join
see you
us again on April 9th.
2 weeks. 73 to you all. Take it easy.
Good night, all.
3.
There's no audio sound, so we just go toot 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 because my opening audio is cooked right now while I'm making changes. Anyway, thanks